What's going on, everybody? This is David Mitchell here, and welcome back to Fans of Train, episode 109. And if y'all see what we're talking about,
you guys can hear me in the Discord chat, make sure you can let me know. David is also on as well, and he's also okay. Good. So you can't hear me. All right. So I guess whichever Discord update that has occurred in the last week or so has.
And if y'all guess, yep, me and Dimitri are getting ready to collab. He live streaming too.
Let's hope that kept everything in charge.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and start the stream for everybody on YouTube, shall we? Here we go. All righty. And where's my?
We're getting ready to collab. So yeah.
Camera. Okay. There we go. Alrighty, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is your host and founder of the American Rail Club, Demetrius Villa. Welcome aboard. Here we go. Now we got the lights going on. Okay. That's a little too bright. There we go. All right. Okay, here we are, just in time. Welcome aboard, everyone. Hello, Star Force. Yes, it's funny news today. Of what's going on with Ron DeSantis. I think Florida wants their governor back. That'd be nice for them to have him back to work. Maybe he's just sick and tired of the cold. He's gone from Iowa and to go to another cold state in New Hampshire. I think he's tired. I think he's done. That's honestly, I thought he would have lasted until the Florida primary. That was what I was thinking, because same thing sort of like Rubio, and then he'd lose in the primary there in his own state. But anyway, how's it going, everyone? I hope you all are doing well. It is nice. You're all doing you're warm, and you have been warm this week. It's been kind of a crazy week or so that we've been here. I've been meaning to do this stream for the whole week, and then things have been just coming up. I say, okay, you know what? Oh, something is happening this week. I am doing a stream this week. It is happening, so let's get it done. So there we go. Here we are. Hope you all are doing well. We're going to be talking about the competency crisis here.
Oh yeah.
In the United States, because it's starting to become a big thing. It's starting to become a real sort of thing here in the United States that you cannot ignore anymore. Because the first thing, when you have a lack of, let's say, intelligent or trained people, or people who care. Let's put it this way, because the vast majority, there's a lack of care in the United States for a number of reasons. And we'll go into that. But when you don't have the same amount of care that the people who built this nation used to have before,
that's true.
You're going to just start to have everything atrophy. And the first thing you're going to see atrophy in terms of anything here in the United States is going to be the infrastructure. And this is what you're seeing right now on screen. I'm pretty sure you've seen this. Planes on fire, falling from the sky.
If y'all don't know,
this is America now.
If y'all don't know, I use that in.
Well, I mean, for those of us,
for the thumbnail.
For millennials
it's
who
so
are old
funny.
enough, this is the first time we've seen anything to do with a plane. So, if you know what I mean, but yeah,
I know what you mean.
It's just, and again, that has nothing to do with infrastructure or anything like that. That's a whole completely different topic. But anyway, yeah, there's just planes are falling from the sky over here, and it's not just all. That's not all, right?
What are you saying? It's true.
Let me see if I can just get that one, Jeff, because this just when I saw this happening, this was the first thing that came into my mind. Anybody who's again, it's not in terms of celebration of the failure of the American airline industry, but it's still quite funny. This is the first thing that came into my mind when I saw it.
Exactly true what he's talking about.
From Attack on Titan. The blimps burning up and falling down from the sky. But yeah, this is Boeing may not be the only let's put it this way. This may not be the only Boeing that's having a whole bunch of loose bolts falling on the ground, because this is just breaking news in the last 6 hours over here. Here we go. A flight canceled after alert passenger notices no bolts on airplane wing.
Yep.
So forget
that
having
stuff
bolts
is
on
happening.
on the doors, or what
It
was supposed
actually
to be
is
emergency
happening
doors.
what he had talking
now,
about.
You don't even have bolts on the wings.
And
perhaps trying to be helpful, so having the memory of the January 5th incident, which a side panel of an airplane blew off in mid-flight due to a problem with the screws, noticed that there were missing bolts on the wings of his plane and told the cabin crew. The Virgin Atlantic flight was canceled moments before takeoff earlier this week. It was
Virgin, it's so ironic. That I'm not gonna lie. That is so funny.
Both Virgin Atlantic and Airbus, the airplane's manufacturer, said that no passengers were at risk. An Airbus spokesperson said that the panel in question is used to improve the aerodynamic performance of the aircraft. So yeah, it's not just Boeing. Now Airbus can be kind of a little sus as well. So this is
oh my God, sus airline.
Yeah, I mean for somebody now that has to be flying for work this week, I'm kind of a little worried, guys. This is It's not the thing I want to be worrying about if all the nuts and bolts are in place on the thing that's supposed to be flying up in the sky and supposed to be staying up in the sky until it comes and touches down on the ground.
That's true.
All the wheels safely sound, not touching down on the ground, slamming down the ground, but oh man.
What he's saying is actually true. I'm live now too.
Adam Booster, our plane's put together with screws. Apparently now they're put together with Jenga. Live report was the Boeing facility and where they work on the planes. Now, this is what it's looking like apparently. But yeah, we're having a big issue here in the United States when it comes to infrastructure, and mainly that's because of the way things are being put into place. Boeing door plug blowout highlights a possible crisis of competence, an aircraft safety expert explains. And again, this isn't the first time we're hearing about what's been going on with the airline industry, because the FAA has now been hiring, let's put it this way, so I don't get kicked off of YouTube, people who shouldn't be or have the necessary competence, you could say, to be aircraft or air traffic controllers. Because we all saw that video. I'm not going to put it up because I'm pretty sure some of you have already seen it multiple times.
I know
already.
what he's talking about.
But that one video
it's
where
fucking crazy.
That woman who's going and saying, well,
and
I Googled this. I Googled what are the correct procedures for this. I don't want somebody who needs to Google what the correct procedures are for landing an airplane to be anywhere near an air traffic control tower.
That is true.
Let alone, this person probably has never... And I've talked about this before. I think a lot of people who would care about infrastructure are being passed up for whatever reason, whether it's affirmative action or anything else. And I got to say this because I know I've talked about this before, that there's a lot of autistic people within the train movement. And
that is true.
You guys are honestly a heck of a lot smarter than anybody we have in charge right now, and it goes to show why. Because and the thing is with autism is mainly one of the main symptoms is an obsession with one thing or another, right? Because you see a lot of autistic kids that have obsessions either with trains or
I am
Sonic
one of
the
them.
Hedgehog or whichever.
Then that's what I will admit.
Unfortunately, Sonic the Hedgehog, if you've ever seen that fandom, the games are fun. The fandom is strange, to say the least. But regardless, having a care for something or obsession with something,
that is true,
tends to, you seem to have a care more about it. So when you have people who get passed up, who have played, let's say, thousands of hours of train simulators, or know how to
that is true,
know how trains function, let's put it that way, getting passed up for somebody else because they tick a certain box or another, and then disaster ensues, like what happened with East Palestine. We're coming up to a year on that, and I will be having a live stream talking about that on the anniversary of East Palestine.
Oh yeah,
but
that coming up too.
This
that I remember.
And this is why people are just, you know what? I don't even care anymore. Bowing out of the workforce, or not caring or giving a crap about what happens to this country. And I don't blame them. This is what's going on. And unfortunately, we're just on the sideline seeing it. We can't really change much of it. We just have to prepare ourselves for it. But this is the problem, is that the people who would be competent, the people who can be able to fix something, are not being given the chance to. They're not going to be given the chance to because they don't fit the bill for what the corporations now want to see. Yeah, exactly. Meritocracy has taken not even a backseat. I think meritocracy has gone out the window off the rolling. That's where meritocracy has gone in this country. It's there it is. There's meritocracy in the United States.
That's true.
That's where it is. Let's go back to this article here. January 5th, 2024. We're in 2024 already, guys. It's just
that is true.
It doesn't seem like it's been a day after 2020. We're just in a bad decade. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Every year was like, oh boy, what's going to be the starts of the year? Forest fires.
I'm going to bring up what Dimitri is saying is true.
Crappy weather. What could it be? Explosive decompression after takeoff was related to a component called a door plug being ejected from the fuselage of the aircraft, meaning the main body of the aircraft. This was after 3 prior flights with that plane had registered warning signals about cabin pressure. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the incidents. This is what I'm talking about. People not caring. 3 prior flights had registered warning signals.
It's true.
I think after the first signal, this is not like the this is not your 1999 BMW 3 Series where the check engine light comes on. Okay? That sucker comes on. All right. That thing is always gone. Nobody's going to do anything for the check engine light of a 3 Series until it blows up. Okay? Now, it's one thing if you're on a car and the engine blows and you just go off to the side of the highway. It's another thing if the cabin pressure goes haywire.
Fun fact, I actually have experienced with a car engine exploded on me.
A complete difference.
And it's from my narcissistic family member car that I ride home from school one day with them, and their engine block exploded. Happened almost a decade ago, but I remember that.
In addition, the Federal Aviation Administration has launched an investigation into Boeing's manufacturing process. Maybe that's what we could be. Other incidents have raised concerns about 737 MAX aircraft. And again, the 737 has been in use for quite a while, either stalling and going up in the air and then slam back down into the ground. More recent examples of bolts and other fittings and fasteners not being up to standards. And again, it may not just be Boeing. It may not. This is. Oh man. So yeah. So let's keep going. Here's the question. Why is Boeing not the airline responsible for the door plug being secure? Under U.S. federal regulation requirements, the number of occupants in an aircraft and the seating arrangements determine the number and placement of emergency exit doors. Airplane manufacturers build fuselages with enough openings to accommodate all the doors that might be needed. If airlines choose to use the highest density seating arrangements, they need to use all the openings for actual exit doors. But not all airlines pack the seats tightly. On those planes, some emergency doors are not needed. Those spaces are filled by plug doors. In the case of the Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft, the door plugs are fitted by Spirit Aero Systems in Wichita, Kansas. Nothing to do with Spirit Airlines, which may be going into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is a supplier of the airframe to Boeing.
Fun fact,
the final assembly of the aircraft
that is actually happening. I'm going to bring it up. What Dimitri is talking about is actually happening.
Quality checks is done at Boeing. So you have a whole bunch of different people.
I'm serious about the Chapter 11 bankruptcy actually happening with them.
Too many checks being done by too many people, and a lot of stuff is just getting passed by them. There's not a real manufacturing process, or let's put it this way: you're seeing a lot of holes in the current manufacturing process for Boeing. And it's just getting worse. Even though the manufacturing process maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago was set and was supposed to be something that can be able to quality check as the manufacturing process rolled along, at this point, if you don't have the necessary people checking in between and they're just not caring as things just go through,
That is
you're going to start to see bolts falling out of planes. That's just going to become a normal thing. We're just slowly, the country's just going to be slowly getting into territory. And it's not going to be, again, I know people tend to think that, when things get bad in this country, it's going to turn into some sort of civil war or boog situation. I don't think so. I think we're just slowly going into a worse version of Brazil, slowly but surely. Just with what's going on, and planes coming out of the sky. This is just going to be, what a beautiful morning. Oh, there we are.
We have to agree with Dimitri on that.
Well, we'll see that on 9 o'clock news, I guess. Look at that. That's going to be the normal here. But, yeah. Oh, wait, and here we go. Speaking of, again, and it's not just planes, right? And this is definitely not Boeing's fault. Ground collision of 2 planes in Chicago sparks FAA investigation. The FAA's been pretty busy.
That's true.
They've had a busy month.
Busy month?
Never mind. That's the subscript for the photo there. Okay, here we go. A plane taxiing for departure clipped at another aircraft at Chicago O'Hare International Airport on Sunday evening, the Federal Aviation Administration said Monday. So this was last Sunday. No injuries were reported, thankfully. Both planes were of Boeing design, which has nothing to do with anything. And the FAA says it will investigate the incident. And this is from an All Nippon Airways, Japanese airline, struck the rear of a Delta Airlines flight 2122 on Sunday around 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, this is what we're going to. And the thing is that airline accidents are very rare. In fact, airline accidents are more rare than train accidents. But this may not be. This may not hold for long.
That is true.
Again, we've been seeing more train accidents starting to happen more and more as you have programs like. Oh man, now I'm just losing my mind over here. Anyway, I'm starting to act like the president. Here they are. Hold on. Man, I'm losing my mind.
For what Dimitri is saying, it's absolutely crazy but true. But it did.
I remember the name of Hunter Harrison at CSX, but I don't remember. Darn it! Somebody in the chat, help me here. Oh man. But anyway, not positive train control. That's something completely different.
Invite me in.
Speaking of competency crisis, yeah, precision scheduled railroading. There we go. PSR. Now I found it. There we go. But yeah, this is what we're seeing now. But anyway, let's go ahead and have our co-host on here. Let's have David, since he's also doing a live stream.
Yep.
We're gonna go ahead and do a double live stream over here. So Here we go. David, come on the stage.
I was listening in for about 18 minutes, man. I've been listening to your live stream for 18 minutes, explaining what you're talking about to everybody while waiting on you.
No worries.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to bring up what you were talking about with Hunter Harrison at PSR.
Yeah, PSR is precision scheduled railroading. Yeah,
yes.
I just remember that like in the last 10 seconds. So there you go. This is the thing. It's like there's too many things, too many names to remember. It's just what it is. But I'm tired. It's a Sunday night.
Oh, that's true.
Take it easy.
But I will be honest, and what I'm going to say, if the airline keep getting worse, you're going to have to push for more intercity trains if the airline keep getting worse. There's going to be a push, that for sure.
Yep, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, we can go to trains. There's so many other options that we can have. The problem is that in the country as a whole, this is what we've seen from Amtrak in the last week. Is the winter shutdown continuing across the Midwest and other places where if it's not even because other countries like in Sweden and Norway they run trains in the snow or Japan, you see trains in the snowier climates that are going through the snow like nothing. Unfortunately, we don't have a system in place that's as robust as those other countries or those other systems where even 2 to 3 inches of snow or, a little bit below zero temperatures are going to shut down an entire region of train travel.
That is true. And thing is that reason why that happening now is because we want to keep on investing in cars. We want to keep on bulldozing people houses to the ground for a freaking 8-lane interstate, 8-lane highway. A big behind parking lot. Am I right?
And then here's the thing. I don't want to travel on a plane because I'm going to, go down in a firing ball of fire, or I'm going to get stuck on a train because Amtrak can't figure out how to get past 2 inches of snow. Well, maybe I'm going to drive. Well, guess what? If you have a Tesla, you're probably going to be freezing.
Oh, yeah.
So there we go. This is the problem. Is that whatever we've done here in the United States in terms of infrastructure, it's been a mess.
We literally ripped our reliable and robust transit out for a crappier transit system, or not a crappier transit system, for a crappier mode of transit, aka the car. We literally ripped our good inner city rail, our inner city trains, our commuter rail, our streetcar. We ripped that out because we thought the car was the future, when it was really not. It will lack a false profit. Am I right?
Yeah, no, you're right about that. The thing is that, as you know, David, the infrastructure that we had before was a heck of a lot more robust. I mean, our country's just living on the bones of that infrastructure that's almost 100 years old, where the roads are crumbling, the electric system can't take. I mean, again, it's the same. We've heard this in Texas. This is like the third year we've had this already in Texas with ERCOT. It gets a little cold there, and the whole system shuts down. People, it starts to black out. They have too much of a load. They're telling people, you can't run the heaters too much because it's going to overload our system. What is this? Is this the United States of America, or is this Cuba or South Africa, where you're just going to be having rolling blackouts? Or
Brazil?
Yeah, Brazil. This is exactly where this country is heading. In more ways than one, it's just starting to look like Brazil because our infrastructure can't keep. And that's the first thing. The infrastructure is the screaming canary in the coal mine. And again, nobody hears it because it's I guess people who work at not just at Boeing or the people who are on the United flights. Seeing the warnings 3 times. Nothing happens. Like, we're not going to do anything about it. And this could have ended up a heck of a lot worse.
True.
This was an act of God that nobody died, or it didn't get more serious than what it was. And again, it's not as, when you lose pressure on an aircraft, it's not as scary as it is in the movies. It just, everybody loses pressure. The pressure goes out. It's like this. All the air goes out. And then, of course, you have to put on the oxygen masks in order to keep the same pressure in your lungs from blowing out, or not blowing out, but basically losing air or blacking out. So this is the thing with this country. And here, when I was thinking about this week, about the Tesla cars losing charge or electricity, it's like, how do people not know this? Of course, electric cars are not going to be as reliable in the cold. However, one of the coldest countries on the earth, Norway, has the biggest adoption of electric cars.
And they managed to get them working.
Right. So why aren't they also frozen in the snow? Because they don't even get the sun for a good 3 months out of the year. It's what they call the land of the midnight sun. Because of it. And basically, once snow falls on the ground in Norway, you're not seeing the grass until in the spring.
That is true.
Like, later in the spring. So, and here's the reason why. This is the article basically goes into that. Everybody in Norway has an electric charging station within their own home. The electric grid is updated, beefed up, able to go ahead and support all those electric cars getting charged. People know how to drive in Norway too. That's another thing. I don't know how many. Like I said in the comments in the community post, if I had $1 million for every not just any car, any Jeep, specifically Jeep Wranglers that are lifted with all the lift kits and all that sort of stuff and all the bells and whistles on it that I've seen flipped over off the road, I would have $8 million because I've seen 8 Jeeps this week that have flipped off in 2 inches of snow. 2 inches of snow.
You gotta love the NIMBY mindset, am I right?
Oh, it's ridiculous. So, and again, it's a compensation crisis everywhere to the point that let me see where was that other article that I was reaching in I think it was at CES that BMW I think now is having a service where you don't even have to park your car. It's basically, here we go, BMW teleoperated parking. BMW mitigates the pain of parking using a car's onboard Wi-Fi connection, another existing semi-autonomous driving tech.
Oh boy!
Far off-site can take over the wheel and controls once you arrive at your destination. So if you can't even park the car anymore, you just have somebody go ahead and take the wheel. Hello, sir. This is BMW. I will not park your car for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I crashed the car. I'm sorry, sir.
Dimitri, that was funny. I'm not gonna lie about that, but it's so funny because there's something else, and we did brought it up when I did chat with you about the collab earlier. Is that we are right now seeing the collapse of the auto industry here in the U.S.
The collapse of everything. This is the collapse of everything. I mean, we're seeing. I will say this. Maybe not so much in passenger rail because at least we won't go again to the bright side of things. We have to talk about Brightline. We need our weekly Brightline copium.
Oh, that's true.
The way things are going, but I mean, it's just silly that people can't drive, people can't fly, and it's just getting worse and worse. Now, I doubt that BMW is going to have Mr. Hans Mithofer over here operating your car. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like some guy on Fiverr or somewhere else operating your car as you can't park because nobody can parallel park anymore. It's the hardest thing for people to do, the parallel park. It's not that hard. You line up to the car in front of you, turn the wheels in, and you go into the park. It's not that hard, but we're giving everybody giving everybody a license. Why? Because it makes the automobile companies more money if we can be able to get more cars. It makes the banks more money.
But
right?
it make the car look like it's freedom instead of a privilege, which I will always say that the car is not freedom. It's a privilege. And there's no excuse about it.
It's a privilege. And freedom comes at a cost. If you don't know how to drive an automobile, you shouldn't be driving one. And it's as simple as that.
And the car company, they know it. They know it, and they like playing field. They say, hey, don't build a sidewalk here. Hey, don't put transit here. Because they know if people are able to walk to where they need to go or like take commuter rail or a reliable transit system, they will never have to buy a car. They would never have to get a driver license. Like, you can literally live in Europe, in any of the European country, and you don't even need a car license in order to get places. And here in the U.S., you are forced to buy a car. You're forced to buy insurance for that car. You're forced to go to the gas station every couple of days to every week. You're forced every couple months to a year to go to the mechanic. And you remember, I brought that up in previous live stream that they leech off each other and they cahoot with each other because they know and they don't want commuter rail and reliable transit into the country because they know when that stuff start popping up, it's over for them.
Yeah, it's that or the, we know transit's bad. We know getting around the city is bad. So what can we do in order to alleviate that? Oh, ride sharing. Let's go ahead and underpay a whole bunch of people in the gig economy to go ahead and drive people. They're probably going to get paid after maintenance and gasoline for their vehicle. They're probably getting paid at best $5 an hour. But let's go ahead and make that. Or here's the other idea. Let's go ahead and just buy a whole bunch of electric scooters from China, throw them all over a city, and then we'll go ahead and claim bankruptcy, collect the money, and then just leave the scooters all over the place. Which is what's going on now.
With Lime.
Electric scooter company, yeah.
Lime
this one's
doing it.
This one's, I think, Bird or whichever. Yeah. Let me see. Here we go. The Cambridge, Massachusetts-based company Super Pedestrian is set to auction off more than 20,000 of its e-scooters and other owned technologies later this month. So there we go. There's just all these scooters all over the place. Like that's going to help you get around anywhere. It's a foundational problem. You should be having cities that should be easily walkable, safe, attainable transportation, good jobs, good family wages, not living wages, family wages. That's what we're talking about. Family wages of that one person in the family can be able to work, sustain a family, and be able to be relatively happy. But we don't have that anymore.
The crazy part is you would not have to do a full-time job back in the day or to be able to live comfortably too. Like you can work a part-time job back in the day and you'll still be comfortable. Am I right?
Yeah.
Like you could literally have work about 20 hours a week, maybe even 30 hours a week, and you'll be able to pay all your bills, grocery, even bills, you know? But now, nope.
I think it was the first Deus Vult game, or sorry, not Deus, Deus Ex game, where you're talking to basically one of the terrorist guys, and he's talking about where 100 years ago, over 90% of the population was, what was it? They were self-employed, and now it's less than 2% of the population is self-employed. Because back then, how did the peasants live? Well, peasants had their farm. Peasants had a land and a large house where they could have a multi-generational family living there. Mm-hmm. That's how the peasants lived. Meanwhile, we can't even afford a home. Here we go. Look at this. The death of the American dream. Home ownership isn't within millennials' reach anymore. And so, you have this massive disconnect where millennials and Zoomers can't even afford a car or a home. Mm-hmm. But yet, hold on, wait. This was one article that really ticked me off. This is really the generational divide over here. So you guys out there in internet land who can't afford a home, don't worry, because this guy here is paralyzed with fear. His wife and him are 60 years old with 2 homes, pensions, and close to $1 million saved to retirement. We want an advisor, but fear the wrong choice. What's our move? He's paralyzed with fear. He's got $1 million saved up, 2 homes and a pension. But don't worry, he's in fear. But you can't afford a home. You're basically, millennials are leaving the cities, fleeing the cities, basically giving up on the American life or any sort of style. Even to the point that where is it? Where was that article?
A lot of Americans are leaving the country and moving up to other countries too. That for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's every other article that I'm seeing about. I'm much happier now living in any other country than America. Or now the American dream is to leave America. First of all, I'm not leaving this country. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to die here. Mm-hmm. Whatever the heck I'm going to do, I'm staying here. I'm doing what I can to fix this up. But
us too.
Yeah, but here we go. Gen Z is now killing cars by refusing to drive. Why do you think it doesn't seem that necessary? Mainly because it's too expensive for them.
That and also, so everything is so hostile for the normal person, where it only comfortable for drivers. Like we literally deliberately destroy our cities, our small town, and put big ass parking lots. Roads everywhere. We even take the sidewalks out to put more road in, and we say, y'all don't like the car going by y'all? Get a car and join.
All right, now, and that's the thing. It's like when people say, or like the older generation say, "Oh, why won't the kids go outside?" Well, the outside you made is basically all asphalt from sea to shining sea. There are no sidewalks in half the places, and to go anywhere to get food, to walk from my home to go to, let's say, a Walmart. You have to walk 3 miles to go anywhere, and the only thing is a Walmart in the area. I mean, it's ridiculous. But again, you can't blame them because remember they're paralyzed with fear.
They're paralyzed with fear that the millennial Gen Z might, revolt and take them out like French style,
But and the thing is, you can't. I guess at this point they just don't care anymore because here we go, generation stuck. Why are baby boomers downsizing and freeing up homes? Because at this point, that's it. They're not doing anything. They're staying stuck where they are. They're refusing to do anything. And you know what? That's what it is. Honestly, it's better for everybody else here because it's better to not have anybody go ahead and cause any more damage, right? Because if they started going ahead and moving around and now going to cheaper homes, well, they're going to drive up the prices of cheaper homes too. So good. Stay there and then just
die off.
Whatever happened. Well, not, and it's not to be crass or anything like that. It's just mainly more to just say, look, you guys made a mistake, big mistakes. Just stay there, let it go, and let us deal with it when it comes to our time because it's getting to it's been coming to a head.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, look at this. Millennials flee cities to most boring parts of the U.S. Experts say. Yeah, I'm kind of. I think I'm one of those people that leaving Miami and people say you went to Indiana. Yeah, because it's cheaper here.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job here. For how many years that I was in Miami, going ahead and applying for every job I could find, and then for Columbus, Indiana, a company in Columbus, Indiana, to get to get paid a pretty damn good wage over there. I'm like, the first time that I got that phone call is that I have no clue where the hell Columbus, Indiana is, but sure thing, why not?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is what's going on.
And the kicker is, and I'll be honest, like apartments here in Charleston, South Carolina, like where I live, apartment here cost over $1,000. Like,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
That ridiculous, and they think people can afford that? Like literally.
Is that for one bedroom? Thing?
Yes, one bedroom. What?
That's ridiculous.
One bedroom. And thing is because of how expensive the apartments are, there are literally homeless encampments popping up everywhere. And I mean everywhere in Charleston now because of it. And here's something else crazy. The suburban Knights are trying to fight to keep where I live rural. Like, the area of Charleston I live in, it's called Ravenel. And saying out here is that it's partially rural. We do get a rural bus that come out here that connects us to the city, but that only once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Well, I told you about that before. And thing is,
you can't expect the city to just keep going as you keep sprawling out and expect, well, this is sustainable. This is going to keep going fine. You think the system is going to keep itself running for 100 years? I don't think people really think out that far. They're just looking to, well, how can I be able to flip this property? How can I be able to flip this so I can be able to make money and bank this? Because I don't see this property as a place to live. I see it as an investment. It's something that I can just flip and flip and flip.
And here, Jane, what we need to do is put a ban on that. Oh, don't forget about that stuff, Val. Like, we need to put a ban on single-family use housing and commercial and only allow mixed use. Like, we need to force them to say, y'all are going to build mixed use. That's the only thing you're allowed to build, and that period.
I think it's not just mixed use, but I mean, the other thing is that, look at, and this was in England, but you're going to see a lot of this here in the United States too. This was brand new 8,500 pound, 8,500,000 pound, nearly a million pounds, right? So $1 million more or less, right? If we take into consideration currency exchange. These luxury homes are going to be all demolished because their foundations were all messed up. So these are the homes, which, by the way, $1 million is made out of wood. They're not even stone. They're made out of wood. Look at the wood paneling. They just got some crappy wood sheetrock and just put that in there. Or not sheetrock. This like flat board that they just put on there, and they're like, yeah, this is gonna last. Give me $1 million.
And here, Valentin, I will bring it up with you that a couple of days ago, technically Saturday, they actually had a mobile vehicle protest of the development out here. Like, they were literally protesting and against everything, saying keep revving that world. Like, and they were driving around, blatting their horn. They had signs all over their vehicle. They're driving left and right. And the thing is that they are annoyed because they're building more suburban development. They're not apartment, but houses. Like suburban houses, the type that we need to quit building.
Yeah, it's not making sense. It's not sustainable. It's not a way to keep building or infrastructure and think that, oh yeah, this is going to hold up for our children, our children's children, and this is going to be great for the country.
Like,
that's the thing, because we're not, this whole competency crisis stems around who cares anymore, because the people in charge don't care about the well-being about this country. They don't care about the well-being about you.
They don't.
They care about the well-being of their short-term earnings, not the families, not the country. And probably not, I wouldn't say, I'd say another thing is it's just a lack of spirituality too.
Mm-hmm.
They're having as much fun at this point and enjoying as much as they can because they know where they're headed afterwards. It's not going to be such a, let's put it this way. You see that flaming airplane? That's probably where they're going to end up at this rate.
Yep.
How they've treated everybody else.
Oh yeah, they're going to be burning in where. They're going to be burning. And to be honest, the Gen X, it's just bad at them because the Gen X, they could have had an opportunity to stop it. Instead, they embraced it.
I think Gen X is kind of split. You still see some Gen Xers, and I know some of these guys, that they still listen to Megadeth. And they're still fighting against the system. They still got long beards, and they still don't care. But the other cohort of Gen X basically became Boomer Jr., and they live the rest of the American dream. They got their share, but they're still, let's put it this way, they're still young enough that instead of going quietly out and being generation stuck and living in an $800,000 suburban home, they're going to be suffering the Brazilification. And again, this is not a dig to anybody in Brazil, because it's not that. It's you're going to see the country continually start to fall and crumble apart, and they're going to be suffering with it as well. At this point, millennials, especially younger millennials and Gen Zers, are either so black-pilled and cynical, we just either don't care anymore, or we're just waiting for things to pop up even more, thinking that there's going to be some sort of way to change the way this country is going. And there may be. You're not going to be able to change the entire country, but at least if you can focus on your own area and your own community, you have a chance to at least fix things there. And that's what we need to keep focusing on is what can I do to make at least first start with yourself, right? How can I make myself a better human being? How can I make my family have a better time? And then how can I help my community? That's how we need to keep it like that.
And it might seem like I'll bring it up, like, if we want to make Ravenel, where I live, better on the outskirts of Charleston, Because everybody fearing when they build the suburban houses, they're fearing that the traffic is going to build up.
It is. It's not a fear. It's a merited fact. It is going to get worse. And I've seen it here in Indiana, in the suburbs over here.
Mm-hmm. And I agree.
The traffic's just getting worse and worse.
Now, I would say if they want to solve that problem and keep revenue world, I would zone the area that they have for single-family use and mixed-use development, where they would have to build, like grocery stores and like bars and restaurants with the housing, so that way the people don't have an excuse to drive anywhere. Like, make it where they don't have that excuse to drive anywhere. I would say.
Shock.
Say.
I'm just getting from the chat, from Super Chat over here. Shock 2957 with the $9.99 Super Chat and the $4.99 Super Chat. Thank you very much. We are living in Ayn Rand's book, Atlas Shrugged. Yeah, definitely. It's just this duopoly of the government plus the large corporations just doing whatever they please. And that's the problem. When you don't have that third party, again, it's not that system which everybody thinks it is, because that requires a sort of guild system. It's not a syndicalist system. It's a duopoly sort of system where there's this corporatism, or not corporatism, corporatocracy.
It's true.
It's a completely different thing. It's a corporatocracy where the government is picking, or the government is picking winners and choosers based on the winners going ahead and lobbying Congress or whoever's in charge on the bureaucracy through the revolving door within the agencies to pick the winners and pick the winners' choices.
And that's a problem, because that is setting it up for failure right there.
Yeah. And then Hertz cancels electric car orders, cited high repair costs. Yeah. Again, electric cars are still new. They're still new to the market. The right to repair for electric vehicles, especially Teslas, have been an absolute
nightmare.
And who's the one channel with that guy who's like, for like 10 years he's been working on a Tesla? He got like this. Oh man, I forget the guy's name, but he basically got this salvage Tesla. He basically started with kitchen knives. I remember that was the big thing he started with, was taking kitchen knives to pry open stuff. And fix the battery packs to have a completely drivable Tesla. And now his channel, I think, is at 1 million subscribers or something like that. But yeah, it's a absolute nightmare to work on electric cars, because electric cars should be less maintenance to deal with. The problem is that the things, apart from just the tires, the windshield wiper fluid, the brakes, and everything else that are shared between that and electric or internal combustion engines. When it comes to the battery and electronics, your average mechanic is not going to be able to work with those type of electronics and batteries, because now you're dealing with a completely different monster. It's not like taking apart the head of vehicle and taking out pistons or O-rings and stuff like that. It's basically more mechanical stuff, right? You're now talking about dealing with software, which is another thing to deal with the battery and the voltage. So you're talking about electrical engineering plus software engineering. That's all built into that. And not only that, because Teslas, whenever there's some sort of fender bender, because of all these sensors, the LiDAR and radar sensors that are all over the bumpers, you get one little fender bender. It's not like, oh, it's a $200 bumper. No. You're talking about thousands of dollars of both labor and parts, which is why Hertz doesn't want them anymore. And they're basically giving away Tesla Model 3s for $20,000.
Dimitri, it's something I'm going to bring up. When I was talking about earlier that the car industry is collapsing here in the U.S., I really do mean it. Like, Ford is recalling almost all their electric vehicle. Chevy is literally shutting down some of their car factories that build electric vehicles. A lot of them, the big ones, are starting to shut down.
Yeah, I think the big three now they're not doing any Super Bowl ads. A lot of brands are skipping the Super Bowl ads, which are usually the biggest thing that they usually do every year. But Yes, Stellantis, latest of big three automakers to opt out of Super Bowl ads. Stellantis, Chrysler. Transitioning into Stellantis. Yeah, no, you're Chrysler still.
Yeah.
Won't buy any Super Bowl airtime, and GM. So there you go. They're losing money on their electric cars. Nobody's buying those electric cars because they're way too expensive. The only people who are buying them are people who already have money.
AKA the boomers.
Look, I got a Mustang Mach-E. Karen went for Mustang Mach-E. Okay, Karen, I'm sorry. It's not a Mustang. It's an electric crossover that's shaped like a Mustang. It's not a Mustang. Please.
Like, it's so ridiculous that they're making the electric car all look the same and they're just giving them different names when they are all the same vehicle. Am I right?
Yeah, and not only that, I think the only electric car that's worth buying is Tesla. And even then, unless you have, what was it in that article about Norway? I think it was 52% of Tesla owners or electric vehicle owners don't even have an electric charging station in your home. You bought an electric car, you don't even put the necessary implements to go ahead and charge that car overnight. What are you doing? Why did you buy that car? Why did you buy an electric car? That's the whole point of having it, is so you can charge it at home, so you don't have to go ahead and charge it anywhere else. It's silly.
And it's just so funny because, you know, the people around here, like, we have two people in Ravenel where I live that own Teslas.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, nearly 90% of EV owners have their own charging stations at home. That's in Norway. Meanwhile, in the U.S., the different stories show that while most EV owners are aware that home charging is considered best practice, only 51% of current and repeat owners who participate in the survey said they have a charger installed at home, while 42% of owners typically charge their cars this way. So yeah, only 42% of people actually use home chargers. The other percentage, the other 9%, I guess, has there as a nice ornament. And 49% of people in the United States that own an electric car don't even have it. Which is why they'll end up over here having their cars pushed because they're dead.
Like, we've seen how bad it got as a cargo. Like, the video coming out as a cargo. Like, that's just bonkers. But it's also hilarious because, you know, everybody thought the car was the future. And let's be honest. If the people back 100 years ago, and I'm talking about back in the 1920s through the 50s, have seen how bad car infrastructure were going to be and seen all this, they would have said, nah, we're good, bro. They would have been dead against all this if they seen all of this, you know?
Yeah.
And
it's just sad the way this whole thing has gone. But anyway, Dave, are we tired of the bad news? Can we get some good news?
Yes.
We wanted good news? All right. Well, let's see. Where is it? Tri-Rail down in South Florida is finally going into the Brightline.
Speaking of that, I think we should invite Genesis for this, you know, because he knows about this.
Yeah. But there we go, finally. Down to the Miami Central Station for Brightline. So it's one step ahead. It is finally one step ahead. Here we go. There's the big ribbon cutting right over here. There we go. Let's put it full screen so everybody can see that there. And confetti and everything. Like, finally, after close to what? Almost 10 years?
10 years, and they got their act together of what they had.
Yeah. Not only that, I think after 6 years of the Brightline station being open, they've been pushing to get this in. And they finally got it, right? They finally got it in. So it's finally something, right? And even to the point that the Brits are even talking about it. America's ambitious high-speed rail plans are putting Britain to shame.
Yeah, because Britain is dealing with a far worse problem than we are. Like, the car company, they got the NIMBYs over there 10 times worse.
and that's the home nation for railroads. I mean, railroads were invented in Britain, and it's just ridiculous to see. Again, things are bad in this country, but let's just say At least we're not the British. That's at least a good thing that we
because
can say now.
I'm at HR 2 and getting screwed over there. What I'm hearing.
I don't need a knife license here in the United States, at least, right? I don't need a license for that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's at least something. Let me see. There was one funny comment over here. Renell Reed is asking, "How about a water-powered car? Do you want the CIA to shoot you?"
Do you? No, dude, you're freaking crazy. Am I right?
For those of you who don't know, apparently the guy back in it was either late 80s or early 90s.
90s.
The story, the 90s. Apparently the guy who invented a quote-unquote water-powered car died in mysterious circumstances, and anybody that reported on how he died also died of mysterious circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't a Clinton, but it was. We don't know who. Apparently, we don't know who killed him, right? But this is
it was more likely the oil companies.
Well, most likely, yeah. But I don't doubt it. But anyway, just really quick on this article. Let me just go to the conclusion over here. And again, this article, this guy's talking about how America is now starting to invest more into bullet trains, into state-of-the-art Japanese-style Shinkansen zooming between city in a matter of minutes. Something that now people will start to think of America for, as with the Bright Line West project from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. And hopefully it may be something that Britain can finally do with the failure that has been HS2, which has been in construction since forever, cost overrun since forever. Basically, it's their California high-speed rail over there in Britain.
But it's 10 times worse.
I would say worse. Yeah, I would say it's worse than California high-speed rail.
It's so funny because in about 2 months from now, throughout we talking about, and finally they're talking about doing it. They're talking about finally laying train tracks.
Yeah, once they pick who's going to win for, which I guarantee it's going to be Siemens.
I'm not talking about the train. I'm talking about the rail.
I don't think it's going to be Alstom. Which, speaking of, finally, where is it? Here we go. Amtrak is finally going to start to begin testing the Alstom Avelias.
They're already testing them.
Yeah.
They're literally already testing them. I'm already seeing videos of them already.
Yeah. So, and this was 3 days ago. The Federal Railroad Administration last week cleared testing of high-speed trains on the Northeast Corridor, a crucial step for Amtrak in advancing the long-delayed project. So there we go. So this is what happened, basically. Bullet points over here. Flashback in 2016, the federal government announced it was giving Amtrak $2.45 billion loan for the project to update the long-aging Acela fleet for the Alstom Avelias. 2 years later, French manufacturing company Alstom informed Amtrak that train modeling showed the trains weren't safe on the Northeast Corridor tracks, which needed more than $100 billion in repairs and upgrades for the trains to reach maximum speeds. Amtrak still gave the company approval to build the trains despite the modeling issues, feeling they had little recourse since the contract was in place. Again, this was kind of silly that this all went forward.
I know.
The Times cited Inspector General reports in 2020 and 2023 that warned of continual failed modeling tests and defects in trains. The old report also said that the defects could be fixed. So they had to spend more money to go ahead and fix the trains, fix the defects on the broken Northeast Corridor, but they're finally one step forward to getting these trains that have been for the last 8 years that we've been waiting for to finally come on to the Northeast Corridor and start moving passengers along.
And that thing, I'm going to bring it up, right, line, that it took them almost 6 years to get those train sets up and running.
Yeah.
That's a yikes. That, you know that, not Siemens, but Alstom is not going to get another contract here in the U.S. for that again. That for sure.
I would say I'm saying with 95% confidence that Siemens is going to get it. But you never know if some sort of some sort of chicanery or something that Alstom, for some reason, winds up getting the contract over for California. You never know, right? Something could happen. Somebody has their hands in somebody else's pockets, and something happens. You never know. But all I'm saying is that it most likely will be Siemens. It should be Siemens. They have already the proven track record in Florida. They have the facilities already set up. And they're most likely going to be doing the same also for the Las Vegas project for Brightline West.
And what I'll say with the Avail Liberties, if Alstom with them finally fixed and now testing, I am really hoping that these teams are really fast, because they're teams that these suckers will go faster than the Acela when they're in service. Like,
yeah, but
it will be a big game changer.
It's a ways to go.
But yeah,
it's a ways to go. We're not completely there yet, but honestly, I think we can do it. Because we have a lot of catching up to do. Because here's the last article that I'm going to cover. Groundbreaking high-speed railway in China surpassed major milestone in just 2 years. So there you go. Meanwhile, China has already built more high-speed rail than all the world combined and doubled. We're still trying to chug along. We're getting there, but we're nowhere near the state of what China has done before. And again, yes, China has its own things, but they're not going through a competency crisis like our country is going through. Yes, there are plenty of live leak videos that have come out of China of buildings crumbling, but again, it's kind of expected for China as a growing nation. We're a crumbling nation. That's kind of the problem. They're a growing threat. We're a shrinking one.
That is true, and not a good sign for us.
Yeah, and they're also starting to do private-public partnerships. Roughly, let's see, 165 miles of track in eastern China is the first private-public partnership-funded rail in the country, and it costs about $7 billion to construct. China Daily has reported it runs between Hangzhou, the capital of China's Zhejiang province, and Taizhou, connecting dozens of tourist attractions along the way. Given that the trains can reach speeds of nearly 220 miles per hour, for the people's daily online, it's no wonder that so many people have been choosing the rail. That's good for commuters and the planet. So, yeah. And again, it's 51% owned by a consortium, the Fosun Group, which probably this group is owned like 49% by the Chinese Communist Party, right? So it's technically still half and half, the government plus a private company, but still. I mean, this is the problem. They can build this in a fraction of a time. They can build this in a fraction of a time than what it's taking California to go ahead and build. Let's hold on. Just for comparison's sake, let's get the picture. This is what California has built in the last 10 years. This is what it's taken them to build. Here we go.
And it's so degrading when you did think about it that way. Am I right? Right, Dimitri?
Yeah.
And
whoever invented WebP needs to go away somehow. They need to go on this plane. Whoever invented the extension WebP, just go on a flaming Boeing jet. Oh man. Okay, let me search for this somewhere else. Okay, California high-speed rail viaduct, high-speed concrete, as we keep calling it on this channel. Here we go. There's the picture. Come on. There we are. There we go. That's what California has been able to build in the last 10 years. There we go. Nice little bridge versus where's the here we go.
Versus a freaking whole entire railroad.
I'm losing my articles over here. There's too many tabs. My computer's probably going to explode from all the tabs that I have open at some point.
Oh, brother. That'll be
it's going to turn into a Boeing.
Oh boy. Heck, I'll be honest, I did tour the Boeing plant here in South Carolina, so I can say that.
Here we are. This is the Golden State, the land of opportunity. America's fastest train. There we are. We're still building concrete bridges. Meanwhile, in China, we need to fix this. We need to fix this already 10 years ago. But it's not happening, and it's going to get worse before it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
But at least at some point, guys, there's at least, the bright spot here is that there's at least, the tables are starting to turn to our direction. But as it's going to get like this, things are going to start to crumble and crumble and crumble, and while things start to slowly build, and as things start to crumble, the velocity of things starting to build will increase. It's not entirely scientific or mathematic. I just made it up in the last 5 seconds, but bear with me. This is probably the most likely thing that's going to happen.
Everything going to crumble before everything starts being rebuilt. Am I right?
Yeah, but we got to get there. So, don't worry about destroying anything. Don't worry about bashing anything down. Just worry about building stuff. That's what we got to build. We got to go up, building up. That's what we need to do. But it's what it is, guys. But anyway, let's go into the audience over here and bring some people over to speak.
Let's bring some guys in. That for sure.
All right. There you are. Let's get Minor Tree over here. He's always fun to hear. There we are.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
All right. You're going to give me the regular 5 minutes, or are we going to go long?
Let's go the regular 5 minutes.
All right. Got the timer set. I've got 3 points to make. The first one for the planes, they are technically allowed to have a certain amount of parts on each flight broken, but still be able to fly. It's just you kind of need the engines and the pressurization system. So there are certain things that cannot be broken no matter what. So a damaged engine, it's unfortunate.
Well, that's concerning.
The second one for the retirement thing that you pulled up, in my extrovert opinion, he should be, maybe put that money that he doesn't have in his pension into a fixed indexed annuity. But as long as he rents out his second home, he should be fine.
I think he should be fine. Yeah, here you go with financial advice over here, Minor Tree. Maybe you should be his advisor.
Yeah, but the third one, I'm going to have to disagree with David. The car was an upgrade, but it was only an upgrade for the horse and buggy. So, yes, it was a good upgrade overall, but
not for the long run.
It's one thing versus everything.
Yeah. And that's not at all to hate on cars. We need cars. They have a place in society, but cars can't be absolutely everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to add on to that, from Brian Rockwell Friend's message, which is just above Shock's $10 message, hydrogen vehicles, yes, they would be better than the current battery systems that we have, assuming the infrastructure was there. Because right now we have about 147,000 fuel stations across the United States alone. Each one, multiple pumps, maybe 8+ pumps each. Let's just say that is an average.
Right, on average, yeah, that makes sense.
There's about 2,000 charging locations, fast charging locations across the United States. There's less than 100 hydrogen pumps in the United States, almost exclusively in California.
Yeah.
If you want to go supercharging as well as hydrogen, you would need about as many stations. Even if not as many pumps, you're still going to need at least that many stations just to be comparable.
Oh yeah, I think we made that point clear that we're talking about less than a percentage of electric charging stations to the amount of gasoline stations. This is why we're nowhere near to having the infrastructure and the facilities available to even support the amount of electric vehicles that they want to have on the road by 2030. It's not happening.
Once you look into the history, it's like the first official car was 1886. First official electric vehicle was 1891. And since then, the electric parts have gotten better, but the batteries still have not come up to the minimum level to make them viable.
That's true.
They're more expensive side grade than they are an upgrade. So if you want one, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for it. But assuming the batteries go under the same kind of research pattern that the previous batteries, it's going to take 3 to 5 years to research it out. It's going to take another 2 to 5 years to bring it to market. And then once it's in market, it's going to take 3 to 5 years to basically become the new standard. So assuming that research system is done tomorrow and brought online by the end of the month, you're still talking 5-10 years before it becomes mainstream.
Yeah, it's not happening at this point.
That's true.
It's going to happen. It's just going to be much more limited. If you want a better vehicle, you can go for either gasoline or diesel hybrid system for land vehicles. Hydrogen is probably better for long range vehicles and maybe heavy duty vehicles, but for trains, it's just an expensive upgrade up front so that you don't have to pay the extra money to
build the wires.
Yeah, but
the canaries and all the electric infrastructure do. I mean, yes, it's a absolutely massive capital expenditure to start with that. But and again, like when Japan did, it took them 10 years to go ahead and pay that all off.
Yeah,
it's possible you can do it, but yeah, it's really expensive to start out with. Is it worth it? Most of the time, yes. Maybe, yeah. That's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, but that's my time. And before I go, assuming Star Force is still on, Star Force is next. If not, it's Tri-Rail Genesis.
A.K.A. Brightline.
Okay, that's my time. Talk to you again later.
You
no
too.
Worries. Appreciate you coming on. Take care. Alrighty. So Star Force is on next. Let's go ahead and go ahead and speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah. So I've been kind of following some of the a little bit of the news, some of the news today, and regarding like the election. Like I think that's another thing that we need to really take into consideration concerning the future of our infrastructure. Because I mean, you gotta admit, like with the whole, even with all the things that have kind of set us backwards. I mean, in some cases, it kind of, I'd say probably one of the biggest accomplishments that the Biden administration has done, like in a way, was help get the infrastructure bill passed. That I don't know would have been passed if another administration were in office, like Trump's or something like that. But like that, I mean, yeah, I absolutely despise this administration, but I'd say the one thing that has kind of come in for like infrastructure, especially with all the trains and some of the train infrastructure, is definitely because of that infrastructure bill that was passed through the House and Senate, and has helped to, like especially at the height of COVID. And now you're starting to see a little bit of a rail revolution throughout the 2020s here. As much as the things in other ways haven't really panned out as they were supposed to, at least we can say that we're starting to get somewhere with rail. But you could also at the same time see with the Avalia, the long-awaited Avalias, for example, for Amtrak, and now they're finally starting to get testing, but those were put through a bunch of like delays with like because of equipment failures and stuff like that. Like I was kind of following it throughout, like ever since like it was kind of they were talking about Northeast Corridor is going to get the new Valias.
Right, since the announcement.
Yeah, and they're finally getting them, and they're finally testing them. Like, it took a bit, but once they're full up and running, it's only a matter of time before we see what they are capable of. And if they're even better than the original cell, like if the availability even better, even though it took them a while to get it fully up and running, that's still going to be a success in a way, even though it took longer.
And to your earlier point, Star Force, I believe you're right. Definitely, rail is getting a big boost because of that bill. And I would say if it wasn't for Brightline, you wouldn't see it. It would just be another Amtrak bill like in the Obama administration, which it was just a paltry sum that basically went more or less, didn't really do much. But at least with this, because of the popularity of Brightline, how it's changed the market here in the United States to say and show, yes, passenger rail is actually viable. It can be done. It can be done in a timely manner. And look at this as a project that has actually worked. That's the only reason why everything is starting to now fall into place. That was like this first kick of the snowball. And that infusion of money coming in from the federal government was unexpected, but it's certainly a big infusion of money. And it's unfortunate that the last administration, for as much as Trump did have that $1 trillion plan that he had, albeit a lot of it was mostly like loans, not really grants or anything. But it was certainly something that he wanted to push, mainly through P3 partnerships. But unfortunately, the Republicans just didn't really have none of it. And by the end of his administration, they just didn't care anymore, especially since COVID derailed most of everything. So, but yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I've been seeing is like you're also seeing obviously like I know like it's kind of I've been seeing like here in Chicago we just had we're coming out of a huge deep freeze which ended up crippling a lot of Chicago's infrastructure, and I also learned of a recent development about Amtrak having to cancel a good portion of their routes at least the terminal part of their routes in Chicago because the equipment was malfunctioning in the cold weather, and I think it has something to do in ways with the Chargers, the Siemens Chargers.
Yeah, that could be something. I got to look more into that because it's just ridiculous. Like, look, we know we're going to go through this every January and February, that we're going to have some sort of snowstorm or polar vortex or whatever they want to call it this year, the kitchen sink, whatever name they want to give it. You know this is going to happen. Prepare accordingly. Let's not have it to a situation where a train's going to be stopped, halted because there's some snow on the ground. Let's not have that anymore. But anyway, Star Force, I appreciate you coming on, man.
We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, all I just want to say is just keep voting for people who are pro infrastructure.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, if you can, yeah, that's the. It may not work, but at least you're giving it something, right?
You have a better chance if you do.
Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.
Alrighty. Let's bring on
Brightline. You're on, bud. That's Zinky. Hey, Genesis, you're on, bud.
There you are.
There you go. Welcome aboard, bud.
It's been. I was waiting for this moment. All right. So I've heard about what is going on currently in the United States, and that incident that happened, that plane was landing on Miami International Airport.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that engine does not look good. Doesn't look good.
I think it was it the engine, or was it something in the fuselage or cabin that went on fire? I forgot exactly what.
I think it was the engine.
Yeah, it was. You know what it was? Because funny enough, I was watching Cops the other night, and they had an older like '90s episode where they were in Miami, and I remember this distinctly because I loved Cops as a kid. But it was the ValueJet flight in '97 that crashed into the Everglades, and everybody on there died because there was a fire that broke out from some like hydrogen canisters that they didn't pack in correctly or whatever. Anyway, it blew up like 12 minutes after the flight, and they all crashed and died into the Everglades. But I mean, it's just the sort of thing. Again, it's like when people don't pay attention, they cut corners, they don't care. This is the sort of things that happen.
Mm-hmm. It reckless. Am I right, y'all?
Yeah, and it's not like you're just doing something that's, I'm at the gym and I'm just gonna like start throwing weights up in the air, and if it hits my head, well, whatever. It's not gonna affect anybody else. No, this is something that's gonna affect the lives of everybody else that's on that airplane and anywhere in the path of it coming down.
Mm-hmm. And Brightline, like, I know you have experience with it in the Dominican Republic. Am I right?
Right. But yeah. Speaking of the Dominican Republic, there's the first monorail train set arrived in the country.
Yeah, I think you sent me that. I was looking at it just now. That's pretty interesting to see. That's going there. Meanwhile, Disney's getting their monorails scrutinized by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Oh,
So,
the irony.
That's pretty cool, though.
That monorail is going to Santiago de los Caballeros. So it might be the first monorail system in the Caribbean. Maybe.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think the first monorail in a good number of years that's been constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It should be good for it, and that I'm not gonna lie about.
Yeah, there's actually there's some talks about bringing a railway network in the Dominican Republic as well. So that's another news that we're gonna look forward to later in the coming years.
Like, that would be a big victory right there, that for sure. Like,
no, it's exciting stuff. I won't be surprised if they can build it faster than California high-speed railway.
Yeah. In Argentina, they're actually reprivatizing the national railway there.
Yeah, I remember, like, since the election of Milei, they've been privatizing a whole bunch, either getting rid of a whole ton of government bureaucracies or privatizing the railroads again. That's going to be interesting to see how that all works out, either as just a lesson that we can take and say, hey, if Argentina was able to do it, I mean, Amtrak, maybe it's about time that we start doing this like Japan. I don't know, if they follow more of the Japanese model, it should work. Just for your Argentines listening, just tell Milei not to do whatever the Brits did. Although I don't think the Argentines are such a fan of the Brits anyway.
yeah,
so,
we all know why they're not a fan of Brits.
What's the name of those islands again? What's the name of them again? I don't think
The Falkland Islands. The Falkland Islands.
I don't think they're the Malvinas anymore.
They're the Falkland Islands.
But anyway, anything else you wanted to add on Genesis, or was that most of everything?
No, about having a lot. I'm going to say something about those electric vehicles. There's one thing that I can say. These electric vehicles are a scam. You know why? Because they actually suck from the American electric grid.
Yeah.
That actually is true. We need to think about it. Wow.
It's just, again, think about it. If you're someone in Texas, you bought yourself an electric car. Now you can't even charge it, and it's probably frozen because the whole electric grid is being overblown by the amount of demand on it. I mean, you just shot yourself in the foot I don't know how many times. I mean, first for living in the worst version of Florida, Texas, and then, buying a vehicle that you know is not as reliable as, let's say, a hybrid. Okay, you want to save gas, you want to save money. Honestly, a used hybrid vehicle is probably the best bet. Not only that, there's been an increase of sales for used hybrid vehicles in the last several months because of the sort of just flat demand now for electric vehicles. It hasn't lived up to the standard that most people were going to think. It wasn't as revolutionary or as game-changing as people thought it was going to be. So hybrids are now becoming the I told you so moment.
And funny thing is, and Brightline, I'm going to bring it up with you. You remember when we talked about flying car, and you remember when we talked about it too, dude, Dimitri. Flying cars are one of the worst ideals out there.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the best things that hasn't happened. Why people keep saying is like, oh well, back in 2015 we thought we were going to be having flying cars like in Back to the Future. I'm glad that there are no flying cars. Okay,
oh my God,
yeah. Drive Jeeps in 2 inches of snow. I'm gonna trust these same idiots to be driving. Flying cars. You see that there with that plane right there, that flaming Boeing. That's gonna be every day.
Oh my God! Didn't remember many 9/11s every day. People who are driving cars and building on purpose. Am I right?
That'd be a nightmare. But anyway, Genesis, I appreciate you coming on. Man.
Yeah, you have a good night, bud.
I have a lot to say. One thing about Boeing is that Boeing isn't doing not so hot right now.
No, they haven't. I don't think most of the airline industry isn't. With now Spirit Airlines, the best airline in America, now potentially filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy after the deal with JetBlue not going through.
Speak of that.
Good riddance.
Oh man, but anyway, I appreciate you coming on. Genesis, appreciate
we that. Appreciated you, bud.
It's an honor.
Take care.
Take care, bud. Speaking of that, PO98 is passing by right now.
It seems to be your friend. Just wave to it, man.
I know.
A2R Gaming saying that was a lot of shade right there. Was that in terms of calling Texas a worse version of Florida? I think that's what it was.
But Dimitri, there is a meme actually going around where if you talking faces at the States, and it from a YouTuber called her Maserati line crosser, where he is making fun of Florida and Texas. Like where they're talking to each other, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sorry. As much as I make fun of Florida and me being a Floridian myself, if I had to be given the choice, I'm not thinking twice. I'm going back to Florida.
Even though
I'm sorry, it's like at least wherever I drive, there's at least going to be some sort of ocean. When it comes to Texas, you just get miles and miles and miles of roadways. They speak a worse version of Spanish over there. I'm sorry, it's not as free as it used to be anymore. It's like I've been to Oklahoma, I've been to Texas. Honestly, Oklahoma is more Texas than Texas is. Texas ain't as Texas as it is used to be, which is sad. I mean, Texas used to be, like one of the coolest states to be in. But anyway, I hopefully you guys can get electricity. And that's the other thing. Florida doesn't freeze over and lose electricity. If it's a hurricane, yeah, that's enough reason to get it in. But I mean, freezing, come on. Anyway, Grand Trunk Railway fan. Let's invite him on.
Mm-hmm.
Stop making fun of Texans here. Keep doing it. The next flight is going to be like an ICBM coming out from Texas and blowing up my flight. How's it going, man?
That was a good one.
I'm doing okay. You know the airline that the Boeing 737 that went up in flames.
Yeah.
Very similar to what happened with multiple incidents involving the DC-10s, spanning from 1972 to 2001.
Oh yeah, that right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, it's just I mean, hopefully it's not a repeat of that, man, because that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just hoping at least with this going on, it's just something that. And here's my thought, because once an airline accident, usually what tends to happen is that there's a heck of a lot more scrutiny for the next several months. People are a heck of a lot more careful. There's a lot more quality control checks going in. There's a lot more people being aware of what's going on because they're making it a thing. I don't really think that's happening because I mean, what the last flight that was just canceled was it had to be a passenger to say, "Hey, I don't think those bolts are on at all on the wing."
It's very concerning, that's for sure.
And here's the thing. Could have been something that maybe the passenger was completely in over their head and they were completely freaking out. And again, this is just according to the article that they said that there were no bolts. But maybe it was just something that in terms of the construction of because the way that airplane wings are designed in construction, it's not like you're going to see like bolts in there and all the way, in certain places. So maybe he just thought that there weren't any bolts on there or something else, or I don't know. But in terms of caution, Virgin just thought, okay, maybe we'll just land this in just in case it is something to worry about. Just in case. Let's just make sure that we don't end up on the news for the wrong thing. Because it's better to be on the news for flight canceled after alert passenger notices no bolts on airplane wing to whatever happened with United finding loose bolts on Boeing jets grounded after blowout incident and, TikTok videos of people wearing oxygen masks, people remembering that scene from Fight Club. That's the type of stuff you don't want to be on the news for. So
exactly, that for sure.
it's I would think this happened January 5th. I would think people would be more careful, but it's not really happening. Again, you have flights that are bumping into each other in Chicago and other places. It could be that we're just being more aware of airline news and accidents, but I don't know, man. This shouldn't be happening.
The thing with the DC-10s, it was due to poor maintenance. That's why they had that. That's why they had these several accidents throughout the years.
Yeah, and that's my fear is that with the already poor quality control at a lot of different American companies now, because I mean you hear with just the most amount of recalls in history for cars is happening now, where there's a whole bunch of GM vehicles, Ford vehicles, Chrysler vehicles being recalled for one reason or another.
And I'm the one who brought that up.
After the pandemic.
I'm the one who brought that up because I went into a video talk about it yesterday about how a lot of the big three are not doing so good, and we might not see either Ford or Chevy going in the next 10 years. One of them might career bankruptcy before the 2030s.
It could be, and it most likely will probably be GM, because that company can barely keep itself afloat without enough government gives to keep it going. But the thing is that it's just it's a perfect storm of both the financial, just the financial collapse going on. The younger generation being nowhere near the amount of having the amount of wealth that the generation before did at the same amount of age. The crisis that's going on with the border, the crisis with everything else going on politically, and now you have a competency crisis within the United States that's basically being caused by everything else that we've talked about for the last all these other topics, and it's just been compounding for the last 10, 20 years. Yeah, it could be a heck of a lot worse than the Douglas incidents. And that's my biggest fear.
Mm-hmm.
This is leading to high-speed rail and the push for high-speed rail, intercity passenger rail, and local transit. And there's also Railroad Preservation Society. Hey, they're pushing for steam excursions as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. There's more people now being aware of railroads and passenger rail. The amount of passengers now on Brightline is starting to break records every single quarter. So hopefully that becomes something that there's now more demand for the United States as time goes on. And that's at least something to at least start fixing our infrastructure, right? It's a step forward. That's our best hope.
Mm-hmm. It is our best hope, and hopefully we can even see the, rebirth of our cable car system, That would be amazing if we have the rebirth of that.
Yeah, streetcars are starting to come back, so that's hopefully a good thing. They're nowhere near as the network that they used to have before, but at least it's a start. So we're getting there.
And the great thing, we had small towns that had a cable car system where they had a cable car line that operated maybe 4 trains every 30 minutes to an hour on 10 miles of track. Am I right?
Oh yeah, and even here in Indiana, there were a whole bunch of just no-name towns that had a connection to the interurbans that connected to all the way to Indianapolis and other cities. So I mean, it's just ridiculous how you had these systems already in place, and we just ripped them up, destroyed them, and now the system that's in place is nowhere near as convenient as what we had before.
And we lost that from corruption. We lost it from corruption. Am I right?
Yeah. But anyway, Grand Trunk Railway fan, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
We thank you.
Problem.
You have a good one.
Have a good one, man.
Yep, you too.
All right. And the last caller for tonight, Ronell Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to board. All right. You on?
You there, Ronell?
You're muted. I think
Ronell, you there? You still have your mic. Your mic is muted.
Yeah, you still have your mic muted, bud.
Hey, hi. How's it going, man? Waitress? Yep, I'm here. David.
Yep, I'm here too.
How you doing tonight?
We're doing good.
We're good, man. The reason I brought up that is because I heard you guys talking about the electric cars and the problems with them. So what about a water one?
Dude, you're mad. You're mad for that. You're putting yourself on a hit list by the CIA.
Okay, that's something we've got to talk about another stream, because that's a whole story. And again, I don't know to how much the extent, because I remember reading about it 10 years ago, and now it's all of a sudden become a meme thanks to TikTok again. I don't know how much of it is true or whatnot, but it's at this point, it's yeah, they would do something like that. Our country's government would do something like that. Yeah. To get to the point that, you don't even second guess yourself, it's yeah, they'll do that. Because anytime the government goes ahead and, declassify something. It's like, yeah, we did that absolutely abhorrent, terrible thing. So what? What are you going to do to us about it? We don't care. By the way, Renell, you're up in Buffalo, right?
Upstate New York, not Buffalo.
Okay, upstate New York. My condolences to the Bills losing to the Chiefs, because I can't stand the Chiefs, and I was hoping that the Bills would be able to. Yeah, I was hoping the Bills would have been able to defeat them, but it's what it is. Anyway, man. But yeah, it's just crazy to again talking about, you know, let's say a water powered car. You know, it's the thing is that, you know, for somebody to go ahead and say, hey, there's a better way to do something, or here's a more economical way to power a car, for it to be that, yeah, the oil companies are going to kill you, and they're going to get away with it.
Because
for that to be the underlying prevalent thought for Americans says a lot that, yeah, our government doesn't really care. They have already a system that's in place. They've already picked the winner. And if you do anything to threaten that sort of system, you're going to get a lot of flack. Possibly you'll get the CIA's best journalist or best inventor award, which is typically comes in two sizes, either 22 LR or 9mm. So that's usually the typical trophies you get. But it's unfortunate that, you know, it's this is the type of conversation that we have when we talk about these sort of things. But I mean, we've seen it with rail. How much pushback have we gotten from the opponents when it comes to rail infrastructure and everything else? I mean, it's just crazy.
Out in Florida.
Yeah.
Those NIMBYs.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We have them everywhere.
NIMBYs. You know, they you know, Bob Crandall, former president, CEO of American, exactly, funding that to go ahead and get. It's like we talked about this so many times, but it's like people have to get into their heads. It's like there's really no way, and I get it. Yes, we can vote, and it does maybe put a hedge to stop sort of madness. But this is a problem that's beyond any sort of voting or any sort of control that we have. We can at least control it to a local extent, but to a federal extent, we have little to no control.
The Valias are now testing.
Oh, yeah.
That's something finally that's going on.
Yeah, that we have to agree on. With that finally happening, it will be a big game changer. Even though it took longer than it should have, it will be still a game changer for what it is. That for sure.
Yeah.
I hear that they're capable of 180 miles an hour, but I don't see where it's going to go 180 anywhere on the NEC.
Well, the kicker is with the new Veil of Liberty, they're built different from the original Acellas. They're built in a way that they can actually hit their speeds a lot faster, and because of how they're built, they can actually hit speed in areas that the Acela would not have been able to. The Avelas would be able to do the stuff that the Acela would have not been able to. So it would be a big
mainly because of the tilting train technology that the Acela did not have, and that enables it to maintain its speed a heck of a lot easier than the Acela would have been able to.
Don't Shinkansens tilt too?
Yes, that they definitely do, and that's not only for stability but for also balancing out centrifugal force in order to keep the train stable, and also the center of gravity low so it can maintain a high amount of speed.
And the Veil of Liberty, what I heard, actually have that same stuff. So with it might
actually like in NASCAR, when you see like the banked turns, the reason why it's like that is so they can be able to go faster on the turns. Because if they just had just a flat turn, you're going to have to slow down a lot in order to make that turn, and you're going to be squealing your tires the whole way through. But if it's a banked corner, well, you can, zoom around through the turn at 200 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. And beyond it, my wife right here, Val, is a NASCAR lover. Am I right?
Yeah.
So she knows about this. Am I right, Val?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
Hey, Daytona's happening soon.
oh, Val, you know Daytona is happening soon.
Down in Florida.
Huh?
Yeah.
Daytona happening soon down in Florida.
I know.
You know my wife is going to look forward to that because her favorite NASCAR driver is Danny Hamlin.
I think,
Hamlin fan.
I think Formula One is happening in Miami.
Yeah, I'm much more of an F1 fan, but the Miami Grand Prix. I'm a little disappointed of the track compared to what Las Vegas now has, but I mean, hey, at least it's something that we have in Miami now. The Miami GP. But yeah, they're basically racing around the Dolphin Stadium parking lot. Let's be honest. That's what it is. It's the Dolphin Stadium parking lot. It's what they're racing around.
that is funny.
We'll get a lot of riders because of that.
Yeah, the only problem is that there's really no train station or really a good amount of train. The only way to get to that area, to the Hard Rock Stadium, is basically driving there or taking a bus.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever there's a game, the traffic is horrific, if not horrendous. Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest, buses are a Band-Aid on car infrastructure. That's what buses are.
And buses should work more as circulators. Buses absolutely have their place. They're fantastic for circulating and getting people to and from, let's say, like from a train station to around the local area so they don't have to walk as far. But when it comes to, you cannot use a bus to replace a train or vice versa.
Exactly.
There are certain places where things work.
And you can't, and I'll be brutally honest about it. You can't use buses to replace light rail and commuter rail, which we have seen that happen across the U.S.
Oh yeah, or bus rapid transit, which is becoming a whole contentious thing over here in in Indianapolis right now with the Blue Line extension.
Demetrius, you said in a previous video that bus rapid transportation is kind of gross.
It's not only that, it's more expensive than it needs to be, and at that point you might as well have built yourself a streetcar system,
like light rail.
Yeah. There are certain cases where bus rapid transit works, but it's very rare and few in between, and honestly there's for 80% of those cases I would say light rail or a streetcar system would have probably served the purpose. The other problem issue is especially here in the United States, is that both bus rapid transit and streetcars unfortunately don't have the vast right of way for most of their route. And they have to abide by the red lights and any other stop lights or anything
stupid.
Like that. So it's just silly. You should already program this within your own city's infrastructure and city transit system or street light system.
That
if there's
the right of way.
Yeah, if a streetcar is like already coming down, like it's stopped already a block away from the light. It starts to go. Should turn green, so it doesn't have to stop. That's so silly that it doesn't.
And funny, I'm going to bring it up. Funny thing is, when a light rail train drove through a red light and hit a car, they always blame it on the light rail train. If it happened in Europe, it would have been the driver. It would have been the car driver's fault. Am I right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just
like we're it's backward when it comes to saying, "Oh, light rail train got to be obeying the traffic light like a car." Look, they're not freaking cars. They are freaking trains. Treat them like trains. This is what I'm going to say. Say, if you're going up light rail, treat them like train. Give them the right way. Don't make them stop at a red light for a freaking car.
And this goes for Brightline, because there was I was doing some research. There was a Jalapnik article that came out that's like America's most dangerous train just killed 3 people at the same traffic stop, or is America's most? Yeah, and of course it's Brightline that they're talking about. Let me bring up the article. Where is it?
I seen that.
Here we are. Deadliest train in America kills 3 people in 2 separate collisions at the same crossing. Gee, was it the train that jumped out of there like some sort of animal and started grabbing at the drivers? Did it go berserk or something like an Evangelion? It just lost its mind and just like started crawling out and then eating the passengers out of the car.
No.
No, it didn't do that. It's just so stupid.
It's so.
The train didn't kill them. The people who were crossing over there did an oopsie, and they did their final oopsie.
And seeing into that, they always like blaming trains for when it's their stupidity. Like, let me say it. Try doing that in Europe. Like, try doing that in Europe, and they would get saying, y'all freaking crazy. Y'all don't need to drive. Stop being idiots. Stop trying to beat the train. Like, the people here in the U.S., there's a reason why the Europeans think we're psychos.
Yeah. And I think people are starting to understand this because even in the comments over here, let's see, with 25, I guess, stars or upvotes, I guess that's what they call it, the updoots over for Jalapnik, their version of it. Because I'm sure drivers trying to beat the trains to an intersection care who is operating them. These people killed themselves and others, same as if they were trying to make a light turn red. So yeah, people understand this, that it's not the trains that are killing people. It's people not paying attention. Again, talking about a competency crisis, people not caring for their own lives or for the rights of the rules of the road or other infrastructure, and thinking they can beat an 80,000 ton train. Yeah, that you're not gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people should stop crossing the railroad when there's a train going through.
Oh, Tokyo Man in.
You can't hear that, feel that, or see that. Go ahead, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just. I mean, hey, you know, at this point, let's put it this way: there's at least less articles of this coming out about Brightline, because yes, there are a lot of people crossing and thinking they can beat the train, but now people are starting to realize, wait a second, that's not a freight train, that's an actual passenger train that's going, 80, 100 miles an hour, depending on which section it is. Here's the thing. The last time I was in Florida, I've seen a lot more billboards and posters talking about, looking both ways. Don't try to cross a train track while there's a running train or any of that sort of stuff. And people are aware. When you talk to other people about it, they know not to mess with the train now. At least the majority of them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're the same stragglers that are going to keep doing this. Fine. It's not going to do much damage to a Brightline train at this rate. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to win that.
And I think it's better to have the horn than not have the horn.
That I agree. Like, quiet zones are the idiot for NIMBYs. Like, they're the NIMBYs complaining. Like, I'm surprised that they complain about train horns, but they don't complain about cars on a highway. We continually making that rooming noise every couple of seconds. Like,
there are pros and cons to quiet zones. They would make sense if people would actually pay attention and saying, oh, well, this is a train track. I should look both ways. I should see the signals that are going in. And if the gates are down, I shouldn't try to cross it. If the gates are coming down, I'm not going to try to pull a Fast and Furious on this and try to jump it. That's the problem. The thing is that, yes, quiet zones would work if our drivers were competent.
That's true. Speaking of that, you're going to laugh at it, but they're now a toy Fast and Furious trying to beat the train kit out there, like in a little set. It's so funny.
Yeah. Let me see. There was this comment out here. Roller Vision Studios just said, unfortunately, it costs Brightline trains to get delayed to around 2 to 3 hours when the car pedestrian deaths to have. Yeah, that's another thing. You're causing it's a horrible inconvenience to everybody else on there when you do this to people on the train, because it's not like it's another car and traffic gets backed up, but now it's to a train. It's another whole other thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Tokyo, it raising a hand. Look like we got one more person.
Yeah, I know. We're out of time here, and I said I was gonna. In my mind, I said we're gonna stop this before 10. We're just in there, but
yeah,
I appreciate you all coming on, man. But yeah, so I think we'll have to end it on here. But this has been a good stream.
Good collab live stream too. That for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. We got to do this again. But
hell yeah,
this definitely deserves its own video though about the competency crisis. But yeah, it's stay safe out there, guys. It's getting crazy. Just make sure. Yeah, Toby, you go first next time. When you're on here, you get the fast pass.
Yep, you get the fast pass, bud.
So if you come on, we'll just drop you in the front. No matter if you come on last or whatever. But anyway, appreciate you all, everybody, for coming on board on this live stream here, with this collaboration with David. Thank you for coming on board, man. Appreciate you coming on, man.
You're welcome, and from the Fans of Train live stream too. So I will tell you this: vote yes for more trains.
There we go. All right, everybody, take care.
Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys later.
You do the outro, David.
All right. Let have a good night, and let bring them trains on. Peace.
Good night.
Have a night, everyone.